Alright, I'm back. I had to change the battery, you know. Alright, now I'm jumping back. I just read how in the Apocrypha, in 2nd Ezra 13th chapter, how YAHAWASHI was going to destroy the multitude of them armies. This is Revelation chapter 17, verse 14. These shall make war with the Lamb, which is YAHAWASHI, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. Verse 15. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, which are the great horse sitteth, are people and multitudes and nations and tongues. And America is a great melting pot, man. But also, you know, Great Britain is no longer part of the EU because they wanted to control their own economic system. But Great Britain is going to turn, Great Britain is going to turn on America, man. Contrary to popular belief, Great Britain is going to turn on America, man. Let's see here. See what I can get. Oh boy. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. I gotta Google it because I don't remember off the top of my head. Your mother shall be sore confounded. Jeremiah 50 and 12. I'll read this again. It says, verse 15, it says, and he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the whore sitteth are people and multitudes and nations and tongues. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So the EU is going to turn on America, man, and burn America. And even though Great Britain is not part of the EU no more, it's still in Europe, you know. So let's get Jeremiah 50 and to prove that Great Britain is going to turn on America. Jeremiah 50 and let's see. What did I say? Jeremiah 50 and Jeremiah 50 and 12. Man, I can barely see out here, even though it looked like it's bright out here, but I can barely see these words. This is Jeremiah 50 and 12. Your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness and a dry land and a desert. So what they're saying is America come out of Great Britain. You know, when you look at the 13 colonies, they separated from Great Britain. And America is the 8th. There shall go into perdition and is of the 7th. So America comes out of Great Britain. So it's saying here, it says, your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. So the way America's putting tariffs on Great Britain, the way Trump is talking, the way J.D. Vance is talking, the way Pete Hegseth is talking to them European nations, and the way they're talking to Great Britain is going to turn on America because of economics. Because you got to remember, all this that's going on with Russia, America was supposed to be, you know, standing with Europe. And it's like they're forsaking Europe and saying, look, you got to fend for yourself. And the way the EU and NATO, which America is the head of NATO, they were supposed to be one mind. But America is separating itself from Europe. And Europe always look at America as that military might that was going to back them if they ever went to war with mainly Russia. But it's not looking like that's going to take place. It looks like America just trying to separate itself from going to war with Russia. But they going to go. And they going to go to war with Iran. But in the end game, America is going to be by itself. Israel is going to be by itself. And they're going to burn both of them, man. These nations going to have YAHAWASHI. These nations, America going to get burnt, and Israel going to get burnt, and the Heavenly Father and Son going to be in control of all of them, man. Okay? This is and this going to be the end of these Edomite rulership going to the hindermost parts. I mean, yeah, I think that's at, let me see. Let me read it again. It says, this is Jeremiah 50 and 12. Your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nation. Yeah, the hindermost, the end of the nation. Meaning the Edomite nation and their rulership. The hindermost of the nation shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. So that's what's going to happen to America. It's going to get hit with nukes, and it's going to be a desert, man. Okay? Going back to Revelations. So what you see going on in the news, how Pete Hegseth and how J.D. Vance is acting towards Europe, that's prophecy, man. Donald Trump is acting towards Europe, there's prophecy, because the Most High is putting the spirit on these Edomites to be divided, so them European nations can turn on America, the EU, man. The 10 horns can turn on America, man. You see? So this back in Revelations. This Revelation chapter, this Revelation chapter 17, verse 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest sitteth upon the beast. My fault. This is Revelation chapter 17, verse 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Verse 17. For the power had put in their heart to to fulfill his will, and to agree and to give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of the power shall be fulfilled. Verse 18, and the woman which thou sawest is a great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. So that's Babylon the Great, America, man. So I read verse 17 again. This Revelation 17 to 17. And the power have put in their heart, meaning their mind, to fulfill his will, and to agree and to give their kingdom unto the beast, NATO and the EU. And who is riding the beast? America. Now, since that lights and the lights came on, I can see better now, man. You know, I read it again. This Revelation chapter 17, verse 17. And the power hath put in their heart to fulfill his will, and to agree and to give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of the power shall be fulfilled. So the Heavenly Father is orchestrating everything that you see on this earth to fulfill his will, right? In this verse 18, and the woman which thou sawest is a great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. And that's Babylon the Great, which is America, man. AKA Rome, man. You see? So I got one more, then I'm gonna close out. You know, this is Revelation chapter 22, verse 12. And behold, I come quickly, and the rewarder is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be. You see? So YAHAWASHI is coming quickly to reward every man his work, man. You see? So I read that again. This is Revelation chapter 12, this is Revelation chapter 22, verse 12. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according to his work shall be. Verse 13, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. So he coming, man. So hold fast to what you brothers and sisters learned. And I know it was kind of rocky. It was dark out here. I'm by myself. But Lord willing, y'all learn something today through the strength and power of YAHAWASHI. So I'm going to face the east. I like to give all praises to YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI, and Mawafla Babylon, and Mawafla 2/3 Shalom. Stay strong, search the scriptures, and pray for deliverance.
ECB is ready to do whatever it takes to preserve the euro.
Whatever it takes. 3 words credited with saving the euro from collapse in 2012. But Mario Draghi, the man who said them, recently took on an even bigger task: saving Europe.
Europe's economic future. It may sound boring, but I promise you it isn't. This isn't just about things like tariffs or GDP or interest rates. It's about some fundamental things which many people here in Europe have come to take for granted: prosperity, security, and democracy.
The recently released Draghi report dedicates almost 400 pages to what the former ECB chief calls the existential challenge facing the EU economy. The central message: Europe is not productive or innovative enough, and if it doesn't take action now, it won't be able to survive in a world that's ever more hostile to it. In this episode, we speak to the former Italian Prime Minister Enrico Letta and the Eurogroup President Pascal Donoghue, 2 other people tasked with remaking the EU economy for a world it wasn't designed for.
We are in a red alarm situation. We have to move. We have to act.
I definitely think there's an awareness amongst voters all over Europe regarding the degree to which the world is changing.
And we ask one of the leading commentators on the global economy, what's at stake if the EU comes up short?
This really is existential for Europe. If it doesn't solve these problems, it could literally collapse.
Welcome to Business Beyond.
the EU has faced several defining questions over the last 15 years, from the global financial crisis to the pandemic to the war in Ukraine. And now the re-election to the US presidency of Donald Trump for a second term has raised yet more existential questions for Europe.
Trump says he will put tariffs on European exports to the US, particularly on industrial sectors like car making at a time when they're struggling. He has also repeatedly warned EU nations to increase their defence spending.
One of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay. You got to pay your bills.
I think this is a very profound shift in the world environment. In my own view is this is probably the most profound shift in the world environment of my lifetime.
Martin Wolf is a former World Bank economist who has been the Financial Times chief economic commentator for almost 30 years. He thinks Trump's re-election has fundamentally changed things for Europe and everyone else.
Well, my own view, alas, and it's immensely tragic, and I use that word advisedly, is that Trump's re-election is going to prove a historic event, possibly an irreversible one, for, first of all, the US itself and the way it operates. The US as a guarantor of security, the US as the country that created, preserved, defended the international liberal order, broadly defined. That's clearly going to be radically different. And a part of that is security relations, and part of it is economic relations.
Given what he has said about tariffs and defence, Trump's victory is forcing Europe to confront some hard truths about its own economic standing, particularly in relation to the US, but also in the world as a whole.
Using GDP, the standard measure of the value added to an economy through the production of goods and services, we can see how the gap between the size of the US and EU economies has widened since 2010. Total EU GDP now represents less than 3/4 of the US total. 20 years ago, the EU accounted for 1/4 of global GDP, just behind the US and way ahead of China. After that, both the US and EU shares declined as China experienced a dramatic surge. Over the last decade, the US share has increased again, while the EU's has been steadily declining.
But beyond all the individual crises that the EU has faced, it has known for a while that it has a bigger problem which it must handle. That's why it has compiled 2 major reports recently focusing on 2 economic areas. 1, its single market, and 2, its ability to compete in a world economy that's increasingly dominated by the US and China.
What's happened is a sort of form of learned helplessness. It's that they are aware there's a problem,